Right. So, Manu, you're gonna do the introduction.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Let's go.
I
Come on.
It's already started. Do
I
it.
don't even know
Yeah.
what episode. What episode is this?
10.
Number 10.
Episode 10.
Number 10. Introduce us. Go on.
Well, everyone, welcome to Not Quite High Score, episode 10. I'm with the boys
And Jess.
and Jazz. Yes. Yeah, we have a
Oh
special
man, where's
episode
your
today.
spirit? This is your second episode. You should be like the most excited out of all of us. We're all
Yeah,
jaded
no,
because we've been doing this for a while.
This
Yeah,
is Manu hyped up.
I thought watching all your episodes would have been prepared me for this, but it did not. No.
This is let me help you out here. This is a special episode because basically there's some news coming out that Microsoft is going to lay off anywhere from like 1,000 to 2,000 people. A lot of the cuts across Xbox, probably some studio closures and shit. And I think we're all just tired of this garbage. So we're just going to focus on what our favorite games are for this week and not look at the news because everything's
Tired
on
of
fire.
depressing news. Let's just talk about what makes us happy about video games, and let's talk about our favorite games.
We're going to ignore the fires out there and we're going to focus on the fires in our hearts, boys.
So
Well
poetic.
put.
That's so
Yeah.
poetic. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be each of us have made a 3x3 grid where we're just showing off our top 9 games. Jazz and I have also done a honorable mentions 3x3 grids.
I got some too.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so yeah, you guys can also talk about it. We'll have a more visual aid, but maybe I'll make something for you guys as well in post. But before we begin, as usual, what are we playing? Jazz, I think you might have something to talk about.
Sure, yeah. So I've been playing South of Midnight this week. And again, I know that Manny spoke about it in the past episode, so I'm not going to regurgitate whatever Manny said. I'm not going to rehash everything. But I feel like for me, it's been exactly the reset I needed. For the last 3 weeks, I feel like I've been like in a weird space of just feeling gamed out. So nothing was really clicking. Like I was trying something and then I would just drop it an hour later. So I think I just needed something simple and just kind of something simple and fun to ease me back into the groove. And I feel like South of Midnight really delivered. I think not a lot of people are talking about the game. And again, we always talk about Game Pass and how much of a great value that is. And again, because of Game Pass, I got to play it. So very quickly, love the atmosphere of the game. The whole Southern Gothic setting is very unique. It has like this laid back spookiness that I also find really charming, which is kind of weird because we're talking about something that's spooky, but that's also charming. I find the characters to be full of personality. The dialogue has like this quiet wit to it as well. The game is very grounded, but also magical at the same time. And the music is phenomenal. So it's like this bluesy, swampy soundtrack. And it just sets the tone for everything. So it's a game full of soul and it's very immersive. And but again, like in terms of gameplay, it's nothing great. It's nothing game breaking. It's very much on the lighter side. So there's like some traversals. There's a bit of combat. There's some puzzles here and there, but the combat is not super deep. And I guess I'm maybe halfway through the game and it hasn't really evolved based
It
on.
won't really evolve.
No,
much more than that.
exactly. Like the focus is very clearly, as Manny mentioned a couple episodes ago, the focus is very much on the story and the world building, and there's this storybook quality to the game. So there are some rough edges, so the pacing can be a bit uneven. Some of the traversals I found that they felt very stiff, so you're gonna find yourself missing some jumps that you thought you nailed, or you get kind of hung up in the whole geometry of things. And the combat can be repetitive, and again, some janky animations here and there. But honestly, like I'm okay with that, right? Like I was trying to find a game that could like get me back into playing some of the heavier stuff that I want to play, and even if it's not really a perfect game, I think it already knows that it's not trying to be perfect. It's just trying to be different, and I think that that's something that I could definitely commend them for. So if you guys are, I guess in the mood to play something that's a bit on the lighter side, something that's cozy, atmospheric, and just again, if you guys really do enjoy a good soundtrack, I highly recommend South of Midnight.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games that's I think best enjoyed in story mode. Unless you're really
Yeah.
looking for something challenging in the game, then yeah, crank up the difficulty in the fights. But I gotta say, listening to you talk about this game, and then thinking about how I explained it, I'm like, yeah, Taz and you, I can say, are probably the most well articulated in terms of like just like describing a game or just like your thoughts in general. I'm just like, shit, I'm like, I should be taking notes. Like I should have explained it like that last time.
No, I mean, like, if anything, it's like when you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. You know what? I think I'll just add it to my list. It'll probably be at the bottom of the list because I do have a long list of games to play. But like I was saying at the beginning, right? Like I was trying some games and I just wasn't feeling it. And they're great games. Like I know I will get back to them. But I think I
Mhm.
just kind of was like, you know what? Let's start at the bottom of my list instead now. Like let's do something different. And honestly, it works. So once I finish, South Midnight, I'd like to try out Doom. I know Taz spoke about it a little bit. It's a little weird because I was actually talking to a colleague of mine who did not like Doom at all, and he loved Doom Eternal. So that's going to be interesting to see. If the changes were very major. I don't know if Taz, if you share the same sentiment or if you're enjoying it a little bit more. But yeah, we'll see. So
I
that's going to be the
mean,
next game I play.
I can't say I've put all that much time into it, but I'm enjoying it more than I did Eternal. It's uh it's a lot less platformy and it's a lot more of just what makes Doom great with the added medieval element of like melee weapons and the shield, like parrying in any game. I think parrying is just like an S tier mechanic for any fucking game that they put that in. So having the attacks come towards you and like the ones you can parry are colored, so you know that if it's green you can do it. Difficulty will adjust the parrying timing that they give you, but I mean overall it's just a very satisfying game to play. It's just, you know, every night I'm not in the mood for like the constant blaring rock music and like just that it's a very hardcore shooter, right? Like you're not it's very fast, it's very frenetic. There's a lot going on, a lot of blood, guts, screaming, heavy metal playing, and sometimes I'm just like I just need something a little more calm. And well, I guess that's a good transition into what I have been playing, which is Schedule 1. I picked that up during the Steam sale.
Calm.
I
Yeah,
mean, dude, it's
it is pretty cozy. I
like
think.
there is a demo out, and I suggest you guys try it. Funny enough, it's called the free sample or something. But I mean, for those who don't know what Schedule 1 is, essentially you're a drug dealer, so you're doing everything from growing and packaging and all that to then actually doing a distribution, dealing with dealers, meeting up with your clients, depending on when you set those appointments in the day, buying up all the stuff. Like it's a very for what this game is when you look at screenshots and you kind of look at the graphical style and then the subject matter, like it's just such a zen game to play sometimes because the actual growing drugs aspect, which before I even go on, it's not realistic. Like obviously the way that you're making like look, I haven't gone past weed in this game and you could go up to like meth and all that stuff, right? But nothing
But it doesn't
is
teach you how to grow.
yeah, like it's not teaching
No.
you how to do anything. It's the most basic fucking, like for example, if you want to make a new strain of weed, you literally go up to a mixing station, and what this mixing station is it's essentially what looks like a KitchenAid mixer with the bowl, and you put one bud of any weed, and then you put in like a donut, and it'll make a new strain. You know what I mean? So like,
Could you call them whatever you want?
no, they're everything's sort of like pre-named. Very odd names for some of them. Like I think the last one that I made was called like Granddaddy Piss or something or something like that. Um, and a lot of and every so let me start with the growing because this is like the part that I think it's almost like Stardew Valley esque in a sense because you have your hideout, right? So you start off with grow tents, and then in the tents you need to go. You got to buy soil. You put in the soil. You got to buy seeds. You sow the seed. You have to click every little thing of soil to make sure that the seed is covered. Then you got to water it. You can use fertilizer if you want more yield. Once the plant grows, you got to actually snip every individual bud. You take it to the packaging station. And you got to buy baggies, and you got to load up the baggies, and then you got to literally pick up every bud one by one, put it in the baggie, take the baggie, put it in the hatch, and you do that times 20 because like one yield or whatever is like 20 buds, and then you go into your phone app and you say, okay, now I have this strain for sale. Here's how much I'm selling it for. People are going to message you. You check the message. Hey, I want to buy 2 of these. I'll offer you this much. Then you can accept it, or you can do a counter deal and be like, no, I'll give it to you for this much. Cool. What time do you want to meet? You pick a time to meet. You go to that destination wherever they want you to at the time, and you sell it. And then you move on and you got to buy more baggies and more soil. And eventually you grow your operation, and then you hire people to do the growing for you. And you can eventually have dealers that take a cut of the profits. It's just like there's so
Yeah.
much shit to this game, and it's still in early access. So I'll forgive it for a couple of the shortcomings where Like for now, honestly, I can't say I've gotten stuck in the geometry of the world maybe like twice. But if that happens, you literally hit escape and there's an actual button called I'm stuck, and then it just respawns you like somewhere
Is
close to
there
where you got stuck.
is there a mechanic with like the authorities where you have to like kind of
So
be careful?
So every evening from I think 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. it's a curfew in the town that you're in. So you're not allowed to even go out. You can go
Okay.
out, but then you're gonna be if the cops see you, they're gonna chase after you. Generally, there's always cops that are patrolling the area. So if you are gonna be dealing, you have to watch out and make sure they don't see you. Because then if they do, they'll try to arrest you, and then you got to run from them. And the game, from what I've seen in screenshots, gets crazier as well with like gunfights and like sort of car chases and stuff like that. But like, I'm just
I'm
not
just
there yet.
I'm just imagining a Stardew Valley game with guns. Like
Yeah.
Well,
that's what.
that's the thing, right? So like, I'm not there yet, so can't comment on all that stuff. But so far, from what I've played, it's ironically and like I guess pun intended, not intended, whatever. It's a very addictive game to be playing.
Is
Now,
there like an incentive to actually break the curfew, or you haven't tried doing that, like running from the cops or doing all of that?
so there's certain like underground market shops that you can go to that's where you want to buy the weapon, where you want to go and see the handler so you can hire the staff that you need for your operation. All these stuffs kind of start at a certain time in the evening
Hmm.
and they're open throughout the night. So, it could be that you're there and you're dealing and buying stuff and then the curfew starts and then okay, now I got to figure out a way to get home, which isn't that hard, mind you. Like you can always I haven't gotten arrested yet. I just run from the cops and they eventually like stop.
Yeah, apparently that's how far I saw a lot of gameplay for this game, and apparently that's just how far it gets into like complexity with the police officers chasing you to
Okay.
stop after a while.
Yeah, I can't say that it's been all that much of a headache. What I'm okay with it. Like I'm enjoying every other aspect of the game so far. It's surprisingly, I guess, complex for what you would expect out of a game like this. Like there's a lot to do, and even like it might seem tedious, right? Because you have to literally, and when I say you have to plant the seed, it's not like you press the button and you plant the seed. Like literally, the tube with your seeds in it will be on the screen, and you got to click on the cap to take the cap off, and then you got to click on the tube, and you have to hit the button to rotate it to have the seed fall out and go into the hole and then you got to click on the soil like 5 6 points on the soil to make sure it's covered, like a lot of like very meticulous. And maybe this is the part that'll like annoy people because it does get very repetitive in that sense, but for some reason for me I'm just like yep, cool, and you just kind of lose yourself in it. And for $20, not bad. Again, it's an early
Hmm.
access, so who knows how much more stuff they'll be adding, but
Apparently,
so
you can also go
far
around. You can also go around and give people like free samples. I think to get them like hooked on
yeah,
the
so
drug.
that's how you get your client base. So in terms of like these people, everyone has their preferences, right? So some are gonna like a kind of weed that's energizing, some like that's one that gives you the munchies or whatever. So every strain that you end up developing has certain properties. And so the more those properties align with what they like when you're giving them a free sample, the more the chances are that then they will become your client and then they'll be messaging you because they want you to meet up and buy, your product. Um, but the weed does get ridiculous. Like I haven't gotten to this point yet, but I've seen videos where this one guy happened to develop a strain that one of the properties was like head exploding or something like that. And so he's like, "Wait, what the
Okay.
hell?" So he goes up to a client on the street, he gives them a free sample, the guy smokes it right away, and then his head literally explodes. So like, there's a lot of ridiculousness to it too. So I think the game kind of goes in various directions. It obviously doesn't take itself too seriously. So it's like a good mix of just, mindless sort of grinding in some sense, but then also like good humor, but also complexity in other areas. And for something that looks the way that it does, and I think it's only made by like one guy or something like that. Like I'm having a very very fun time with it.
Might have to check it out.
Free sample available on Steam.
Mhm.
What are you playing,
Um,
Manny?
nothing. I've been
But
busy.
it's a gaming podcast. Come
Okay,
on,
shut the
man.
fuck up.
You put me
You,
on the spot last week, or like yeah, like last episode. So come on
Well,
now.
you had like 3 weeks
yeah,
to play demos, and you didn't play
He's
any of them.
busy. He's busy buying a house.
That's
exactly.
true.
I mean, okay, the only games I have played are games I've talked about already, so nothing new to talk about.
Sure.
It's just Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild.
You have
So,
a good reason. It's okay. We can move on to your brother if
Well,
you'd
you could
like.
talk about your achievement in Mario Kart.
which was
You got
that
all. You got all the 3 stars on the world, the tour. Yeah,
Knockout
knockout.
Tour, and
Yeah.
Grand Prix. I'm trying to do verses right now, and my fucking god, are some of those levels. Some of the Nintendo times hard to beat. Like I beat them by like 0.2 seconds, and I'm not gonna bother trying to improve that. Like
Have you started sort of grinding the rails and doing all that stuff to get shortcuts and all that yet, or
I
still at
started
first?
to, and it's a bit of a learning curve because it's very unforgiving if you miss. Um, so like
You like this
my
mechanic?
not really, but maybe that's just me being like, oh, I prefer the old Mario Kart, but then
I think it's because you're not used to it yet. But as soon as it clicks
exactly.
for you and you start actually using them on most stage, you'll be like, okay, this is actually kind of cool because it does give you several ways to, instead of just following one track or like the common shortcuts, you have now a lot of ways you can make your own shortcuts essentially.
Yeah. And then like racing against Ghost and in time trials, you get to see how those little changes in your kind of like your path makes a big difference in the long run.
Are you doing the same challenges, Manu, or you're not attempting that?
I'm slowly playing. I've actually been busy playing Nine Souls. So
I
that's
saw that
Making
you
taken
the
most.
beat
shift.
it.
Yes, I last time we talked, I only put in like 2 or 3 hours, and then I ended up finishing in like last week. That game is phenomenal. I didn't really have any high expectations, but one of my friends recommended it to me. Essentially, for those who don't know, it's a 2D platformer. Everything is hand drawn, and the combat is very much. It plays like Sekiro. Um, yeah, so there's a lot to kind of like talk about this game. Combat. When I say it plays like Sekiro, I mean it relies it the game has a high emphasis on parrying all attacks. In Sekiro, you can get by dodging. I think by the end of the game, I was dodging like 70% of the attacks, and I was parrying the other 30%. In this game, if you do not parry, you will die.
Mhm.
A
Kind of
quarter
like
way to the
Expedition, I guess.
essentially, but in the expedition, you don't really need to parry unless you're doing some of the super bosses or some of the really hard content. A quarter way to this game, the game puts a clear emphasis because there's one of the bosses that show up. So and To kind of mix in the story a bit, this is a revenge story essentially, and you are going. The goal is you are a character who's kind of a feline humanoid, and you have to get 9 seals to meet a goal. It's very hard to not talk about the story without sorry to talk about the story without spoiling it, but that's kind of the gist of it. And when you get to the third boss, the game ramps up, and that's kind of like I think where a lot of people would drop off because at that point, if you do not parry every move this guy does, you will essentially get decimated, and that's the whole game thread. It was really fun. It was really challenging. I think the last boss took me 2.5 hours to beat.
Wow.
Um,
Jesus.
but it was super rewarding. The music as well is really good. A lot of the side characters. Um, this game has a hub, and anytime you go to a new area, you can always come back and have these character interactions with some of the side characters. And I have to say, there's probably some of the better. They do a good job of like creating these small stories between them. I ended up
They're
like
fully fleshed out.
exactly. I ended up. It's just a lot of the stories is like heartwarming. It's actually sad a lot and it's funny. It was like a really good change of pace between like the very grittiness of the game because the game is like super bloody and it goes into a lot of like the darker themes. So overall, this game is just phenomenal.
I do have a question about like exploration. So in terms of like the level design, does it feel like a classic Metroidvania where
Yes.
everything is interconnected, or is it more linear?
So yeah, I was gonna mention this game is essentially a Metroidvania.
Okay.
You do have some sense of linearity in that you always really have one place you can go to, but it's a Metroidvania in the sense that the game doesn't really tell you where to go. It's explore. Obviously, you'll reach some point that you can't um, progress further into because you don't have some ability or requirements. Um, but the my only gripe with the game, my only singular gripe is the traversal is kind of annoying and the teleportation.
Mm.
Um, you don't unlock a way to teleport between save points until like very late in the game. And even when you do, you always have to go back to your main hub and then teleport somewhere else. You can't teleport from like A to B. You always have to go like A to the hub to B. But it was a very small gripe. So yeah, if
Is
anyone's
that because like you unlock maybe skills that opens up more of the exploration towards the end of the game?
yeah, that's why. I think by the end of the game, the game gives you every ability you need to fully like explore everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you also mentioned the boss, which took you 2.5 hours. Like well, the question that I had was like, were there any standout boss fights, or like, so was the final boss like the best boss fight, or you know?
The first boss you encounter, like I said, like the the boss with the high difficulty curve, that boss stood out because I was like, oh wow, okay, this game is actually challenging. Um, but the last boss was the best, I think, just because the boss had like three phases and it was chaotic and it was a very simple. Um, it felt almost like a Jedi fight, like Sith versus Lord,
Right.
because that's all you have. You have one sword. It kind of reminds you of a lightsaber, and the boss also has a lightsaber, like a dark saber, and that's the whole fight. It's
Did
just
you say Sith versus Lord?
sorry, Sith versus Jedi.
Okay. Sorry, I was like, I was hung
Yeah,
up on
sorry.
that.
Yeah.
I could just picture Manu just like relishing in the game's difficulty, like as he's
Yeah,
doing this for
like
2.5 hours.
because it's like
Uh,
you explain in the game, you're like, oh, it has such great characters, writing, exploration, combat, but it took me 2.5 hours to do this boss, and instantly I'm like, nah,
it's
I'm checked out.
the game is okay. So I like you guys will see this obviously in the 9x9 to 3x3. I enjoy a challenging game, but above all else, the game needs to be fair. If I die, it's because it was my fault, not because um, the game is mechanically not well done. And this was this game. This is how the last boss was. Is because the boss has like 4 or 5 attacks, and it's just a matter of learning them, and then you can do it.
So basically, guys, spoiler alert: if you see Barbie's Horse Adventures, you're gonna know that that's Manu's
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool. No, I mean, so yeah, like it does look like a very interesting game, but I feel like every single time that Manu talks about a game, I'm like, it's gonna be difficult,
Hmm.
But no, I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
You gonna
no, the
you gonna
game is very
platinum this
short.
one?
I could have. I spent 20 hours. I spent 19 hours to beat it. If I want to platinum it, I have to do a whole new run because
Oh,
I missed something, and that involves doing a whole fresh run. So probably not. I think I got my satisfaction or everything I wanted from the game, so I'm good.
sorry. One last question. Do you feel the Hollow Knight DNA in there? Like, do you? Because I know how much you love Hollow Knight, right? Is
Yeah.
it is it on par? Is it better?
Um, is it better? Oof. I don't know. They are at the end of the day different games. I mean,
Okay.
they're both Metroidvanias and they're both like Souls like, but their combat is so different that it's hard for me to compare them. Um, but yes, I mean they're both Metroidvanias, so they do have both like very similar elements to their gameplay or just their game itself. So, yeah.
So we're going to be going through each of the 3x3s, and I randomized it to see in what order we're going to be going into. And so before I'm going to show the 3x3, sorry, audio listeners, but we'll be describing the games on there. Why don't we take a guess, a gander at what we think this person's top 9 game is? And so the first one is Taz.
Can I
Oof.
I
start?
can't participate in this because I know the games, so
Uh,
it's really just going to be you two.
Manu, is it okay if I?
Yeah, yeah. Go
Well,
by all means.
I'll name
Actually,
a
pull
couple.
up. I need to pull up the grid again because I already forgot. All
Actually,
right.
yeah. What did I put?
Can
I'm
you show it
surprised
to
you
me?
don't remember it because
No.
Taz, you're the last one to send it to me.
I
Yeah,
know, but it was like a very quickly put together.
I'll say Street Fighter definitely has to be in it.
Mm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Red Dead Redemption makes it because Taz felt very strongly about Red Dead 2 when it came out, comparing it to Red Dead 1. I wouldn't be surprised if Mortal Kombat's on there as well, but I think he might go with one fighting game, and that would be Street Fighter. I feel like that's his favorite. Um,
He definitely has. I think.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah, but also the Yakuza game. I think like a
Oh,
dragon. Um,
do you really think that Yakuza would make his top nine?
yeah, I think it was. It's very much like the amount this guy talked about when the game came out, and because he was trying to sell me on like trying to play the game as well.
It is a safe bet. Like out of
Yeah,
all
it's
Yeah,
a
the games
safe
you
bet.
guys
It's
listed,
it's
yeah.
just,
yeah.
it's definitely a safe bet because I mean, yeah, like I feel like Taz has played all the Yakuza games and replayed them as well, and when they were on Game Pass as well, and he talked about them. So yeah, I think like that's a safe bet. But I think, do you agree, Manu, that like maybe Red Dead will be on there, or
I don't know is the thing. I don't think I think it's two, like Red Dead 1 or Red Dead 2.
Red Dead One? Red Dead
Oh, I
One.
see. Yeah. Then yeah, maybe yeah, most likely. I think there's a high probability.
Yeah.
Um, Something like, I know Taz is a big RPG. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say big, but I feel like Persona as
Oh,
well. Maybe
Persona. Yeah.
Persona
Mm.
5.
Yeah, I wouldn't
I
be surprised.
wouldn't be
Let me
surprised.
ask you guys one question actually before. No, no, no. But like
That's
in all
that's like
seriousness,
y'all got it wrong.
when you okay, so when someone says to you favorite game, right? Are you
Yeah.
Yeah.
are you taking more the enjoyment into consideration, or is there, let's say, a feeling more attached to what you felt when you played the game?
I
So
love
that
that you asked that
you know
question.
what I mean? So like
Yeah.
while one game might be better on, let's say better ratings or better mechanically than another, in your mind, is the favorite the one that's objectively, I guess, better received and in that sense better? Or is it just, are you going on, yeah, but this is how this game made me feel,
Mm.
or
Mm.
this is like a memory attached to it or something, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what is
everyone
your
has.
definition of favorite, I guess?
Well, okay, just very quickly, because I did not go based on the Metacritic score or the
Yeah.
technicality.
Well, I mean, I don't
If
think
I
that's what any of
did,
us were
no, I know,
supposed to,
but what I did is that like these are games that left fingerprints on my life, or these are games that kind of like made me feel something. So every single game that when I talk about it, I have a story and I know exactly where I was when I first played the game or who I played it with. So they're kind of like woven into the fabric of my story, which is like the gaming story, like the gaming aspect of who I am as a person. So I don't know if that's like you giving like a hint or something, but in that case, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts No Mercy, the wrestling game,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
You know,
I think we can.
So
I think you can show the grid. I think
yeah, I think
you
it's
guys definitely got some. Others, you definitely got the honorable mentions, but I don't know that you
okay.
got.
yeah. So Taz,
Oh, that's
why don't you go over the three by three
That's a good one.
and then we can kind of discuss as you're explaining them.
I mean, okay, Red Dead One. I think it's. I often debate, but I think it might be my favorite game of all time.
wow.
Not
I feel like
surprised.
when you're making the grid, the game that's usually like on the top left, that's like probably the first one you think about.
So, but this grid though is honestly in no particular order. This is
Okay.
just sort of, I had a
Well,
list that
I
I
was saying
quickly
more like
made,
maybe
but like if you're looking into sort of the
unconsciously.
psychology behind it, yes.
Yeah.
Red Dead was like, when you said make the list of nine, I was like, that game is 100% on it. Everything else, I'm like, we'll see, but this for sure was on it. And it's like when this game came out, it's weird, but because when this came out, Rockstar was known more for the Grand Theft Auto series, and we all know what the Grand Theft Auto series is, right? And for some reason, I went into this game not necessarily expecting that, not really knowing what to really expect, because I'm like, well, it's the Wild West, so you're obviously not fucking carjacking people and like whatever. But I went in for the fun of like, okay, it's GTA in the Wild West, and then as I'm playing this game, and you kind of realize what kind of a main character John Marston is, and just the overall story, and like that's what got me hooked more than anything else. I think that's what had surprised me the most. Like you kind of come to realize, hey, you know what? This is not a typical Rockstar game. This is actually like a deep story where the protagonist isn't a piece of shit. He's a normal guy that did some wrongs in the past and now he's trying to live a good life, but he's forced to get back into it with circumstances out of his control. But he's like sincerely trying to help everyone that he comes across. He always tries to do the right thing. He's not like he doesn't have like an abrasive personality. He's just basically a father trying to get essentially the he's a father trying to get his wife and kid back from people that took them and that are now demanding certain things of him. But
I
it's
mean,
also
a more grounded, realistic character is
yes,
someone
and
people would
it's
be more
but it's
inclined to
not
play.
just him, right? It's every character in the game because when you look at a GTA game, it's basically sort of a what's the word I'm looking for here? It's oh man, not mockery, but
Like
Like a
larger.
parody.
parody. They're basically parodying real life, right? So all the characters in every Grand Theft Auto game are very sort of exaggerated versions of what that person might be in real life. I mean, maybe these days it's a bit harder to discern the fucking parody from the actual source material, but at the time anyways, like you're used to these kind of really kooky characters, but then here in this game, everyone's sort of not only are they grounded, but they're actually interesting. And it's not just because they're grounded, but it's because of the way that they're written, the way that they're acted, the way that your character is interacting with them. So like all of these things for some reason just really left a mark on me, and I don't replay games very often, and this is one that I have completed multiple times, and I'm waiting still for a cheaper Steam sale so I can get it again and play it again, because like to me this is just it's just a great game to play.
As someone who's never played the first one, but I've seen the second one, how does it compare to the second one? Is it as close to like a simulation?
No, not at
No,
all.
okay,
It's like if the second one is FIFA, this game is Rematch. You know what I
okay,
mean?
okay.
But so like that's kind of what it is, but it's not fully again as crazy as something like a GTA, but it doesn't nearly have the simulation stuff. So like you don't need to take care of your horse. You don't need to like, brush it or otherwise it'll get dirty and get sick and and die. You don't need to
Hmm.
clean your guns otherwise they start to malfunction. Um your hair doesn't grow and your beard doesn't grow, and like all those sort of realistic aspects that kind of people hated in the second game are not present in this game,
Okay.
which I think it's to its favor. Like as much as I am really enjoying Red Dead 2 right now, because like I said, I had just kind of chosen to surrender to whatever the game was and been like, you know what, fine, I'll play you at your pace. There's still times where I'm like, this pace is preventing me from playing you more, not because I don't want to play you, but it's because I don't have the time to spend 10 minutes going into this house to literally open every single drawer individually and watch your animations. When,
Mm,
if you were to just do this quicker and remember that you're a video game, I would be able to kind of do other things in this game and just sort of move on a bit.
hmm.
But yeah, Red Dead for sure. Mass Effect 2, I mean, honestly, I had never seen up until this point, I think this was like the biggest improvement I'd seen from one game into its sequel. And it was from second one of playing this game. So you finish you play not the recent collection that they released, you go play OG Mass Effect 1 and then you go boot up OG Mass Effect 2 and you fucking tell me that it's not night and day. And like I loved Mass Effect 1, you know what I mean? It's classic BioWare, the story, the characters, all that stuff. Great. But the second you boot up 2 and you just start shooting and you get a feel for how much that's improved, like right away you're like, okay, thank God, this is so much nicer to play. But then the actual story gets going and you meet all the characters and you kind of do all that BioWare stuff that you do in their games and you're like, holy shit, this is actually just, aside from mechanically being so much better, all these characters are wicked. You actually you care about all of your companions in the game. You know what I mean? And it's not just like humans, but they have these really cool looking aliens. But then they somehow manage to just have you give a shit about these people, and they're not just these crazy weird designs. Like they're very creative looking, and they all have their quirks with how the species interact with each other and what their actual sort of the properties of that species are. Like
Yeah, Mass
whether
Effect
it's
2
the way.
definitely is like the only other game that I can think that does companions really well, like fully fleshed out, well written, is like Baldur's Gate. And
Yeah,
it's like if you really enjoy the companions in the first one, the fact that they also come back in the second one, they introduce other companions and they flesh them out still. It's
that's it. And the fact that
yeah,
your decisions carry over. Like
yeah.
that's always a cool thing with the BioWare games that I kind of wish they would bring back, but
Yeah, I think Mass
whatever. That's
Effect 2 did
another.
have some of the better characters. I think the whole series, like Morden, I think. Can we all agree? Best
I think
companion.
everyone pretty
Yeah.
much. I think is unanimous on Morden. Everyone's unanimous on Garrus, on Rex.
Miranda.
No,
Miranda.
Moran.
What's the bald girl again?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
tattooed one.
Yeah, I forgot her name.
her name, and then the green assassin, the reptile guy, escapes me.
Hmm.
But it's just
Yes.
There's Tally.
Yeah.
yeah,
Tally.
she was okay to me. But
But I mean, her trial, yeah. But yeah, anyways, but great characters. I agree with Manu.
yeah,
I
but it's
think
not, yeah, but that's kind of what it is, right? Like a lot of the times you play, these space games, and for some reason these days everything's just become, a perfect example. You look at Starfield that just came out. Oh, they're touting thousands of planets and this big interstellar adventure and all that, but it's like there's no alien races, there's no nothing. Whereas you look at Mass Effect and you see all, and even not the ones that you're always actively playing with. You just sort of happen to go to a space station and there's all these weird different species, and you go and you talk to them, and one of them talks in like a narration point, the other one kind of will be talking to you, but then they'll actually vocalize what they're feeling as well at the same time.
It almost feels like you're comparing apples to oranges, though, because like
I mean,
compared to
yes,
Starfield, like
it's,
it's Mass Effect's more of a narrative based game.
yeah, but I mean, come on, you're telling me Bethesda games aren't narrative as well? Like it's a big part of, yes, it's a big adventure, but it's a narrative to it as well. Like it's maybe not the same style of narrative, but there's story to it nonetheless. But anyways, that's it for Mass Effect 2. I'll try to go quicker because it's 9, and there's 3 of us left. Halo,
well, can
Halo.
I? Yeah.
Honestly, yo, what's up? No, go on.
No, well, no. I was gonna say, like, looking at the list, and I know that Manny's gonna upload it. With the list, so like viewers can see it. Forgotten City, I actually don't know really much about that game, so like I know you'll get to it, but like I'm actually curious right now.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a surprise.
yeah. So can
Yeah.
So,
you?
Forgotten
Yeah.
City. So, if you guys don't know, this game actually started out as a mod for Skyrim. And what this is essentially it's a time loop game. So you end up in this city where there's only maybe like a dozen or 2 dozen residents in the entire city. It's like hidden away, and everyone abides by what's called the golden rule, which is essentially you do not sin. So if anybody commits any form of sin, everyone dies.
Interesting.
So once you get to the city, you're kind of explained how things work. Someone, however, happens to create a portal that restarts the day for you. So at any point, depending on what decisions you make or others make, and then it's decided that somebody has sinned, that starts off this sort of this thing where these golden statues that are littered all around the city come to life, and they start attacking the residents, and then they themselves become golden statues because these statues represent past civilizations that had sinned as well.
I
Hmm.
do
So
remember you
once
playing this game. It was
Yeah.
a
So then
while.
once that triggers, then you have to basically, from wherever you are on the map, you have to run to the portal to restart the day. And then with the knowledge of the day of what happened in the previous day, you have to try to prevent it and then sort of solve these mysteries throughout the city. There is no combat whatsoever in this game. It is purely walking around, talking to people, solving mysteries, trying to figure out what's what, and just basically get to the best possible outcome. And the fact that I enjoyed a game like this, I think to me really marked me because I was like, okay, this is just basically fully narrative. You have to keep track of what's what, and there's zero combat. And I enjoyed the hell out of this game. I played it and I just was nonstop until I got to the end, and then I played it again to get to the best possible ending. Like,
So now that so when you were making this list, so because I have more questions. So it's like, what made you omit a game and put Forgotten City in that place? Or was Forgotten City, you're like, I'm not even debating, like this is already in my top 9.
Yeah, because I'm
Like,
no,
surprised that took a spot over Yakuza.
right. And I'll,
Yeah.
I'll I'll explain Yakuza as well. I mean, it's in the honorable mentions for sure. But for this game, I think it's because it was so different from what I'm normally into, and the fact that I did get into it as much as I did, that marked me more than if I'm playing, let's say, like another action or FPS that fine might be amazing, but to me, something that's completely different from what I'm used to playing that marks me in that way versus something that's within that same genre is gonna do more for me.
hmm. Okay, that's fair. I mean, Manu was right on the Persona. I mean, he said 5, right? But I think it was 4.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean, I'll
Street
surprised
admit,
you
You're
went
Fighter.
right.
with
Yeah.
four.
for Persona, I will admit 5 is the better game. To me, 4 is just where it all started because
Mm.
it's a
That's fair.
game that is unlike anything when I played this at the time that I would ever play for any reason. I would literally, all it would take for me would be to look at this cover and look at the anime characters and immediately go, I'm out. So for whatever reason, I started playing it and I super, super got into it. And this was
Nice.
literally what started not only for me the Persona games and just sort of Atlas in general, but RPGs, like turn based as a whole.
Yeah, because you started playing Dragon Quest as well after this, if
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Like it's just I didn't expect to care about these anime characters and their lives. I especially didn't expect to care about this whole system where you have to go to school and just,
Mhm.
and then they're all teenagers and like it's so out of the norm of what I would normally like, but I just got hooked and I ended up actually caring about these characters and the story was really good and I wanted to know how it would all end and that, this is not a short game. So for me to sort of get through, and mind you, I never did get to the end. And that's only because I was playing this emulated and my save file got messed up. And then I was like, I can't do this now. But I did finish Persona 5. But anyways, that
It's
all that
funny.
no no, go
Sorry,
on.
I was like, it's funny that you mentioned that you every time you get into an RPG because look at your list, every game is a different genre.
But I never before this, RPGs were one that I actively avoided. You
Yeah.
could tell me that an RPG was the greatest in the world, but to me, anytime I'd previously tried them, it always ended up with me just getting to that point where I don't want to grind, but I can't move on unless I grind.
Hmm.
Or like I'm not good at min maxing these characters. I'm not good at like sort of I'm not good at this genre. And for some reason, this just kind of
Well, Persona is, I think, one of those exceptions where you don't need to grind. You don't need to spend
yeah.
hours and hours doing the same thing. If as long as you do every encounter you get into, you can finish the game, and they
Well,
don't
that's it,
expect
right?
you
It
to be
kind of it
doing
kind of
anything
helped
else.
break those assumptions, and then that way I was like, okay, maybe there's more to these games, and they're not all just in that same. They're not all like Final Fantasy or that kind of style. Because I mean, that's be honest, that's kind of the most prevalent, right?
Hmm.
And when you say JRPG, there's certain expectations that go with a JRPG. So the fact that
Yeah,
I got into
especially.
one, and then I was debating, right? So it was between this and it was between Like a Dragon because I fucking love Like a Dragon. Because, like, to me, there's nothing better than playing a game where you're just a bunch of fucking middle-aged people trying to just get through whatever the story is at that time. But the characters are all great. And again, I think I just like these characters that are just genuinely, sincerely good people. Like Ichiban, I think is probably one of my favorite protagonists of all time in any video game. Like
Hmm.
he's a fucking human golden retriever, but for some reason you can't help but not love him. Whereas someone else with that like insane positivity in these ridiculous scenarios where even the most normal, just kooky person would be like, yeah, I give up. And this guy's always like, granted, yeah, it's a video game, it's fictional, obviously, but like that level of enthusiasm and positivity would normally just annoy me because I'd be like, this is just dumb. And for some reason with him, I'm just like, fuck yeah.
You know,
But
I actually really, really enjoy this exercise because, like, the more I'm looking at your grid, it's like putting a smile on my face. Because at the same time, because I think Manny knows, but like Taz and I, we probably share like a lot of similar games. But actually, a lot of his games are in my honorable mentions
Yeah.
in my other grid. I do share some games with Taz on this, and maybe a different game in the series. But I'm actually curious for the twins. Do any of your games find like is your grid completely different, or is
So
there one or
I'll
two
say this:
games?
I'm sharing one game with Manu. I am sharing zero games with Taz. Although looking
Wow.
at your list, I'm like I should have maybe put some of them in my honorable mentions, which I
Yeah.
didn't. And Jazz, I'm actually sharing one or two games with you.
Yeah, because I will say Mass Effect 2 is on my list, and so is Super
Mhm.
Mario 64.
Yeah.
And Super Mario 64 for me, and maybe Taz, like, you can kind of add to it, but to me, when I first played Super Mario 64, it felt like you were touching the future because it's like I was blown away playing like a Mario game with like full 3D movement, being able to like triple jump, wall kicks, just the idea of jumping into like paintings and being kind of put into this world. It felt like free. It felt free,
the first
and
time I played
yeah,
Mario 64 was before the N64 even came out in North America. It was at the Microplay at Metro Côte d'Azur,
That's crazy.
run by a guy named Dave Amzel, and he had imported an N64 from Japan, and he had Mario 64, and if you paid $2, you could play it for half an hour. And that was the first time that I played this game, a 3D platform. It was the first time I played a 3D
Yeah, that's the thing.
platformer. And like that half an hour may as well have been 30 seconds. And it's a game that I played so many times. So many times, but the best thing about it and what really kind of is a testament to it is that I could boot it up right now and I can play it just as easily. For something that came out on N64 that was probably arguably the first 3D platformer, they got it so right from the get-go. Because if you look at the N64 library and you look at all these other platformers that came out, and even just not platformers, but just the game library as a whole, one of the biggest problem with the games that were considered bad or at least not as good as they could have been was the camera,
Mhm.
right? Because this is
Mhm.
still it's brand new. 3D is a new thing. People are still figuring it out. And Nintendo just right off the bat was like, yeah, no, fuck this, we got it. They even had a justification for the camera existing. It's the Lucky 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they made the camera a character, if you think about it, you know? But all that to say, like it played so well, it felt so good, and you can go and you can play it right now, and it feels just as good.
It
But
definitely
see,
has withstood like the test of
yeah,
time. Yeah.
like the way and I'm glad that Taz mentioned that, because to me, again, Super Mario 64, the reason why I added it is because it, to me, it really felt like the game that changed everything, right? To be able to see Mario like just in full 3D movement, I, you know, like I was like, this can't be real. And I still remember sitting in Taz's mom's, like, you know, basement, watching him racing the penguin for the first time,
Yeah.
you know, during, what was it, the cool mountain or something like that the level was called.
Yeah,
And we were just trying to like shave seconds off our time to see like who got like the better time and whatnot. And you know, to like finally unlocking unlocking Yoshi after getting like 120 stars, like, again, we all love the 2D Mario games, right? Like, shout out to, you know, Mario All Stars and whatnot. But like Mario 64 to me is, even today, and I know that a lot of people like enjoy Mario Galaxy and whatnot. To me, Mario 64 is still the game that changed everything. It's
but
like,
it's like you
yeah,
said too, though, right? It was like touching the future because at this point, going from the 2D games to now going to this, you look at Super Mario World and the jump to Mario 64. I don't think I'll ever see another jump like that in terms of gaming, right? Because
yeah,
now everything from that point was basically graphics and systems getting better, you know, and then eventually incrementally better. But the jump from 2D to 3D, you're never going to see something of that level, I think, ever again outside of like, I don't know, the world becomes fucking whatever that Ready Player One, right? And then it's
And
like,
simulated
yeah,
yeah.
VR.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
aside from that, like, which I don't think that's happening in our lifetimes really, but again, like it's just that jump and seeing it for the first time and just me being able to tell you exactly what day it was and where I was, like it really it hit me well.
yeah. And
Um
just and looking at another game, Batman Arkham City, that was in my honorable mentions. But I'm glad that you picked Arkham City.
so
Uh,
honestly,
You guys
I
didn't want to talk
Arkham
about Arkham Knight? Like,
so Arkham City, I was
nah,
honestly going back and forth between Arkham City and Arkham Asylum.
same.
I would have. I honestly, I expected to see Batman for you guys, but I could have sworn it would have been Arkham Asylum and not City.
I
No.
had Asylum written down initially and then I changed it to City. Asylum, I mean, dude, we're still playing games to this day that have the exact combat system that that game came up with. They finally not only made a Batman game that was good, but an overall superhero game outside of Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. This was at the time and probably stands to still be the best superhero video game ever made. And
are
Oh,
we
not
still
only
not going to
really?
that,
acknowledge
but you
Superman
play
64?
Come
pour
on,
one
man.
out, I guess. No, but
You
like,
can.
and you play Arkham Asylum, and now I'm like, fuck, it should have been Asylum. But you play Arkham Asylum, and most people don't even realize that when you're playing Arkham Asylum, you're technically playing a Metroidvania,
Oh shit, you're right.
Yep.
right? And
Yeah.
it's like, so to have that disguised while at the same time coming up with this insane combat system that worked so well, and you are Batman. You have the vision. You're hiding up in the shadows on the gargoyles. You're tying people upside down. You're taking them down one by one. You're investigating crime scenes and all that, like within the asylum. And I think the reason that I went for City is because they took everything great about the first game and they expanded the scope, and now it's a whole city. So not only are you doing everything that you did in Asylum, but you're using your cape and your grappling hook, and you're gliding across the city, and you're sort of just it's that one step closer to the Batman dream. Right now, you're not just enclosed into the asylum, but now you have an actual city. You have your rooftops, and it's closer to the Batman that you know and love from the comics. So I had to go with this one. I wasn't as crazy about Arkham Knight. I think when I was playing it, I was kind of like, I want to get to the end of this. I'm not enjoying it as much as I did the first two. I thought that the Firefly, I think his name was, the sequences were really irritating. I think all the Batmobile sequences were not that great, especially like with the robot tanks or whatever coming at you at some point. Like, I don't know, that those two things just really soured that experience for me. Um, Game looks amazing, obviously. I
Hmm.
mean, graphically, it's you look at screenshots of that game now, and you would think it came out like this year. But, anyways, great game. I mean, hell, you download the demo for Dead as Disco, and it's the exact same combat as Arkham. But
I think that's what you had described. It was like Arkham. It was like the Batman Arkham games, but as a
rhythm,
musical.
yeah. Moving on quickly, Halo. I mean, it brought FPS to consoles. If you're playing an FPS on a console right now, you have Halo to thank. That is the granddaddy. It invented
I'm
the
surprised
entire.
it wasn't Halo 3.
Oh.
There's one big reason that I'll tell you in a second as well. So it is so Halo basically, it invented FPS on the console, right? And it invented the twin stick control scheme. Every FPS that came out after Halo was basically, mimicking Halo's control scheme, and now it's de facto. And the other thing with Halo, big thing too, is honestly this was the first game that me and my brother finished together. So that to me automatically cements it as one of the greats. Um, Street Fighter 2, I mean, honestly, I don't even think I need to explain. I mean, dude,
Yeah, anyone, if you guys
it
know
is,
Taz, he's just a Street Fighter fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time that my brother brought this home, I was actually playing against Lovely, and I specifically have this memory where we're at the character select screen, and this was the original Street Fighter 2, and at the time you could not have both players picking the same character, and I wanted to pick Dalsum, but then he picked Dalsum, and then I literally got up and I reset the console and I got annoyed.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, honestly, look, great fighting game, still is great. I could go back and I could boot this up right now and I can play it, and I'm gonna have a great time with it.
The
And
OG Street Fighter or Street Fighter 2 Turbo?
I mean, look, to me, when I say Street Fighter 2, I'm encompassing all of them. Like they're all
Okay.
just variations of the same game. Yes, they get better and better and better, but I
Did
have
you?
to. If there is one that I have to pick for the nine, I guess I'll give it the two because it is the first, and it is the blueprint for every other fighting game that came after. Whether you guys want to believe me or not, after that fucking tier list that we did, but this game is the father of fighting games.
Did you own a copy of Street Fighter 2?
Yeah, on Super Nintendo.
Okay, because I remember when we got the hand me down from you guys.
Yeah, we never got the copy.
Yeah, we never
I
got the
think
Street
Sid might
Fighter
have
2.
gotten rid of it at some point, honestly. But I remember
Okay.
we had it on Super Nintendo, and I remember playing a ton of it on my best friend's Super Nintendo as well. That's another reason I love this so much, is because we played so much of this when we were kids, and I was always Ryu, he was always Ken, and it was just fight after fight after fight after fight. Um, and then lastly, Witcher 3. I mean, great, great, great RPG, very well written. It has side quests that have, in my view, better stories than other actual plots of AAA games. I always thought that it played very well. Love the combat, love all the characters, love all the interactions. I finished it multiple times because for whatever reason, I just dig this world. This game is fucking beautiful. The music really stands out to me. It's just so, so well made.
I
Um,
want to get into this game, but for my fucking life, I can't. And
put it on
I
easy.
bought it.
Do me a favor. If you do want
Yeah.
to do it, that's what I do now. I just put it on easy and I just do whatever the hell I want and I play this game. Ignore the main quest. I literally go around and I do every single question mark on the map. At one point, there was literally nothing left for me to do in this game. At one point, is how much I killed it. And I'm still, some days I look at it and I'm like, I should reinstall that game and just play it again because that's just how much I enjoy being in that world.
That's a worthy game of a top 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is my top 9.
So
Did
what made
you?
it to your honorable mentions?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same
Yeah, let me
question.
pull up that list. Hold on, I have it on my phone here. Honorable mentions: Yakuza Like a Dragon, Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed 2, again a very,
Yes.
very, very big
Mm.
improvement over the first game. Metal Gear Solid 2 sort of started my whole thing with stealth games as well, and it's got that Kojima fuckiness with the weirdness in the story and all that. It definitely wasn't at the level that it's gotten to now, but sort of the use of real FMVs and the use of real military terminology and all that stuff. At the time I was like, okay, that's actually kind of really cool. Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox.
Oh
I
yeah, the
mean,
OG.
great, great game. Grand Theft Auto 3, you can't
Mm.
not respect it. I remember when I played this game for the first time. I remember my friend was telling me that, oh, they're gonna, because I'd played GTA 2 a whole lot, and that was like isometric view. And then at one point, he's like, yeah, they're making it 3, and it's gonna be 3D, and you can get out of your car whenever and start doing stuff. And I'm like, you're fucking bullshitting me. And then I played it, and then honestly, I was blown away. And this one, I kind of have to give it to it, Fortnite. I think for
Oh.
what it for
Oh
what it for
wow.
what it was and for what it's become, and the fact that they keep sort of adding stuff to it and keeping it fresh, like year after year after year, I can't help but respect them. It's a good game. It is. Even I got into it, and yeah, I'm sure there's a lot more that I would have come up with, but the limited time and taking care of kids today.
Yeah, I'm surprised Splinter
Yeah.
Cell wasn't part of that list.
I was gonna add Chaos Theory into that too, actually. So that definitely is an honorable mention for sure.
Okay. Uh, since I
Excited for
have
that.
everyone's list, there's some things I want to mention. Like, oh, no one mentioned this, but I'll save that for the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you guys can
I'm
also
excited
think of
for
a
the
few
new
games.
one. The next person.
Jazz, you're actually next. So, what do we
Uh,
think Jazz has?
Mass
What are you
Effect
choosing?
2, Mortal Kombat 2, BioShock 1.
Okay.
Um,
What was that a dead giveaway? Like,
well, I mean, if
please.
they weren't, I was gonna drive over and rip them off your wall myself. You said Mario 64 was on yours too, so Mario 64. I don't know if No Mercy is gonna be on yours. It might be an honorable mention.
I actually
Let
don't
me.
know because I feel like just you don't. In my mind, you're kind of the one who plays the least amount of games.
But I
Um,
played a lot of games before,
you
though.
have is the thing, so I can't.
Maybe like Rock Band or a Guitar Hero or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, it's definitely Assassin's Creed, because that's
Yeah, he loves
you
that
played
series.
almost all of them. Um, yeah, I
I'm
can't think
looking
of.
at Jazz. I'm looking at your honorable mentions. I'm like, huh. There are a few things missing here.
There are, but that's why it's hard, man. I could actually make a third grid, honorable mention plus plus. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But yeah, that's my.
Oh, of course.
I,
So
before you begin,
yeah.
I
Any
gotta give you
surprises?
GoldenEye. That's a
Any
good game.
surprises?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
By
Really?
far the biggest surprise because I know you enjoyed it, but
Oh
not to the
no.
point where it went over a lot of other games we talked about.
Dude, I called a lot of your games though. Knights of the Old Republic, I should have known. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny
Yeah.
because I actually said that before coming on the podcast. Like, oh, just been definitely pro Kotor, but
Okay, so look, I'm not a big Zelda fan like Manny is, right? Like, I mean, but it's hard to compare when you have someone like Manny who just loves The Legend of Zelda, right? But like,
Manny's Grid is going to be 9 Zelda games.
I,
like,
I will say, I had to limit myself to 3
yeah,
just because
well,
I'm like, or else it's gonna be a lot of Zelda
yeah,
games.
Breath of the
and the thing,
Wild, Ocarina of Time,
yeah,
probably
well,
something.
Princess.
Maybe
and
something like Link Between Worlds or something like that.
yeah.
This is Jazz's
No,
list.
no, it's okay.
We'll worry about mine
I'll
after.
go over it very quickly. But Manny, I guess once we quickly go over this, show them the honorable mention as well,
Yeah,
since
of
I already
course, of
gave the
course.
grid. Okay, Breath of the Wild for me, the way because I have like a reason as to why I selected these games, but to me, Legend of Zelda, when I think about it, for me, it's freedom redefined. It's the perfect Zelda game for me. It, you know, I like I didn't need a quest marker or a wall of text. If I saw mountains, I could climb it. If I saw a ruin, I could explore it. Like, and the moments I found on my own. So it wasn't something that was like scripted cutscenes, but it felt like emergent stories. I thought that was very unforgettable. Doing the temples, like I had such a great time like doing the temples. I loved, um, just the exploration aspect of it, to me, that was what a next gen Zelda game would feel like. And I have Majora's Mask in my honorable mentions because I do think that Majora's Mask is a better Zelda game than Ocarina of Time.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
But the reason why I did not put Majora's Mask and I put Breath of the Wild is because if I closed my eyes as a kid playing Majora's Mask and I thought what the future of Zelda would be, Breath of the Wild is exactly what I would want in a
Yeah.
Zelda game. And that's exactly why
You so you completed Breath of the Wild,
I have completed Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
and you
I
completed
couldn't.
Majora's Mask,
I have. Yeah.
and you completed Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Where are
Okay.
you going
You
with
look very
this?
doubtful.
Because so is it because you don't think? I mean,
If you
yeah.
were to
Look,
ask, if you were to put a gun to my head and be like, has Jazz ever completed a Zelda game?
I have actually. I
We talked
played.
about
Like,
this.
I
Like, I
don't
know Jazz has finished these games.
I have played the game Ocarina of Time. I finished it on the N64, and I actually played it again on the 3DS. So when Ocarina of Time 3DS came out, I played it there, and I also played Majora's Mask again 3D on the 3DS because I had that. So
Yeah.
I know that it might not seem like because I'm gamed out and all that kind of stuff, but like yeah, there was a time where I did like play these games. But Breath of the Wild was the second game that I finished on the Switch. When I got the Switch, and again I just I feel like Breath of the Wild was the first time where it made me feel like Hyrule was alive, and it felt like a love letter to adventure games, and it just
this feels like
reminded
just
me.
reading the back of the box of this game.
No, 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 but like it just, but like, but that should tell you like that's how I feel strongly about this game because to me, like it really reminded me that like the exploration aspect of it itself could be the reward, right? And not like the Master Sword or whatever. Like, I just again, to me, it's like the perfect adventure game, and that's why it showed up on my list. Very quickly, Mortal Kombat 2, it really was the very like I still have vivid memories of Lovely and I playing Mortal Kombat every single evening. There are videos of
We
him,
should
like he
just
has video.
mention before we start to cut. We should
Yeah.
mention Lovely's our uncle. So
Yeah, yeah, he's our uncle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's our uncle, and but him too. Like I feel like our uncle and Sid, like they really got us into games and gaming and whatnot. And again, like I there are videos of me there are, of like Lovely recording me, and he's picking Liu Kang, and he keeps doing the flying kick over and over and over again, right? And I'm just crying, and I basically tell him I pause the game, and I tell him if you don't let me win, I'm gonna tell Grandpa. And then in the background, you can hear Grandma yelling at Lovely, and she's saying, "Let him win." You know what I mean? Like there's video footage of that. And anyways, to me, what the game also like taught me was patience, because after getting my ass kicked, I finally picked Raiden, and I learned how to counter his flying kicks, and
Sorry,
I
what do you mean
became
it
really
taught
good.
you?
What do you mean? It taught me to be patient. God
Oh,
damn
I
it,
see.
Manu. But like, yeah. So it's again, and it wasn't just the fights. Like Mortal Kombat was like one of the to me was like my first introduction to like secrets, right? Like the fact that you're able to like figure out fatalities. I remember even having like the guide for the game. But the babalities, the friendships, there were things that were just hidden beneath the surface. um I just thought it was a very thrilling game, and so Mortal Kombat 2 definitely had to make my list. Obviously, has there been better Mortal Kombat games? Yes, I feel like MK11 is probably arguably the perfect Mortal Kombat game. But to me, I still remember being in the basement of our old home playing this game, right? And just obviously like snitching on my uncle for not letting me
Man,
win.
we should have not played those games as kids because they
No,
were
we
very fucking
yeah.
violent. Yeah.
Yeah. Very quickly, No Mercy, Taz. I remember playing No Mercy again, going to your
God,
mom's
yeah.
place. I
I
remember,
think all four of us used to
yeah,
play that a crazy amount.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
but
Yeah.
ladder matches, cage matches, all
yeah,
that stuff. And we'd
and
all
I,
make like our characters as well.
Yep.
and I remember because we had done our homework, and then we went to Taz's house to watch him play video games, and then I remember I had to go back home to have supper. But then the moment that I was leaving, Sid came, and he had the copy of the game. So I was so jealous because I was like, God damn it, like I have to go eat. So I quickly ran, I ate, and then I begged my parents to let me go back to your house so I can watch you guys play No Mercy. So
They,
like,
by the way, for people listening, they lived 5 houses
yeah,
down
five
from me.
houses, yeah, exactly. So like the controls were perfect. The story mode, like again, adapted to your wins and losses. The fact they could create wrestlers, write your own narrative. The Royal Rumble, Taz, like just being able to
Dude,
like just that excitement of like who's gonna
let me
come
tell
up
you how
next.
good this game is. Okay, you know how
And it
AEW.
didn't show up
No,
in
no, no.
your honorable mentions.
Right, but hold on. I mean, I told you it might as well be, okay? I didn't have a
Sure.
fucking all that time in the world to
Okay,
put
okay.
every game I love. So, you know how AEW released their fighting game or the wrestling game recently,
Fight
whatever it's called,
forever.
Fight Forever? It's on sale in the Steam sale, or it was on sale last week. It was like $10, okay? And everyone's like, "Oh, if you like No Mercy, you'll like this." Perfect. $10. I bought it. Played it for half an hour, refunded it. It is not as good as No Mercy.
But that's the thing. Nothing. There are wrestling games that are still to this day using the same DNA from No Mercy. Even games like Def Jam Fight for New York, right? Yes,
Oh, that's
granted it was made by the same developer, right? But again, it wasn't just a wrestling game. It was like, to me, again, the fact that like the DNA is now present even to games today. It shows the lasting effects
Yeah.
of this. Very quickly, again, Taz talked about Mario 64. I do want to talk about Knights of the Old Republic, because as a lifelong Star Wars fan, KOTOR was everything that I had dreamed of, right? It let me live out the fantasy that I had, not just as a Jedi, but to be able to play as a Sith, but also shape the galaxy.
As a lord.
Exactly.
I gotta say, I did put KOTOR in my honorable mentions,
Good. Yeah, yeah.
and holy fuck,
Yeah,
like
that should have been an honorable mention for me too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like in
yeah.
terms of narrative experience, one of the best well written story, because I still remember the whole like plot twist when you find out the main character is like Darth
The
Revan or
Darth
something.
Revan,
Blew
yeah.
my mind as a kid.
Yeah.
And like the fact that you can like customize your character and you can either make him like a hunter, Jedi, like whatever you want in this universe with the whole Paragon system too, which is like early Bioware kind of like showing that off though, which eventually leads to like Mass Effect. And it's such a wonderful game. And I think it's still aged really well.
Mhm.
100%. And like, so and I'm glad that you mentioned the Darth Revan thing, because I wasn't like that blank slate hero that I thought that I was, but I was actually like the former villain. That added like so much complexity to the story.
Yes.
And the other thing that I was going to say is that, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the day before Knights of the Republic, Western RPGs were not really a big thing, right? Like the
Mhm.
JRPGs, they had shit figured out. The
They were,
JRPGs, they were
but
so great, but KOTOR for me set the standard for Western RPGs and what they could be, right? The whole like moral storytelling behind it as well, being a good guy, being a bad guy. I thought that they did it beautifully.
on console.
Yes, sir. Yeah, on console. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We should definitely put that nuance on there. Super Mario 60, like I said, I went through it. GoldenEye 007. Guys, like, I'm surprised that like I still have
That
memories.
honestly, if I'd remembered this, I think it might have been in my top 9.
Yeah,
Because
but
oh
I
man,
it's
I
a time
personally can't
capsule.
comment on that because like I didn't. I feel like you
Because we
guys
haven't
had it.
played it.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah, that's
before
it.
your
Not as much as you
time.
guys.
Yeah, but
I remember
it's
playing it with you guys, but not as much as you guys did.
yeah, but it's a time capsule of my childhood, because again, yeah, the 4 player split screen. Taz, I don't know if you still remember like the golden gun. There was like the license to kill mode where it
Dude,
was like one shot kill, and so you had to like basically cover every corner, right? Because it meant instant death.
Wasn't
Um,
there a paintball mode as well?
there was a paintball
it
mode
wasn't a
as well.
mode. It was like
A cheat?
not. I mean, yeah, I guess like a modifier that you can
Right.
turn on.
Okay.
It
Our
just
CP90 is where it was at, man.
Yeah, it's just us like sitting on the couch, just trash talking each other. And then we went to convince each other not to look at the other screen, right? And we're like, screen looker. I still remember, like, just us, calling each other's like names and stuff like that. So for me, it just like it just reminded of like childhood rivalries and just the chaos like on the couch. So I had to put GoldenEye on there. And Bioshock, to me, and again, Taz talked about Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect. It's one of the best game series I've played. Bioshock has to be up there for me too, because it wasn't just like an atmospheric game. It was so eerie. I still remember the moment that I stepped into Rapture and I was like, what the hell am I getting myself into? Like, the voiceover was great, like the flickering lights, just the whole underwater utopia turned into a nightmare was so different. I was like, I have never seen a movie, TV show, comic book, game like this. This was so different. And there are so many philosophical, like, questions and points that this game brings up that, I feel like people don't really talk about that. And there are so many jaw-dropping moments in this game, but it really, I felt like Bioshock, as I got older, showed me what game like that games could be a medium for philosophical storytelling. So, you know maybe I hype it up too much, but I still think that there's no movie or TV show out there that can match the storyline of Bioshock, and I'm just so disappointed that there hasn't been a movie or a TV show. But I feel like at the same time it would
Probably for the
probably do
best.
it probably
Yeah.
for the best, exactly. But
You
it
know
will
what
be
surprises me now that I
yeah,
think about it, that's not on your 3x3?
yeah,
Journey.
yeah. I mean, it's
Because
it's
I
a
just
good
thought, because I
game.
remember when it came out that you were raving about it so much.
Yeah,
And it was like it was being brought up and compared to a lot for the following years as well.
it's a fantastic game. If you do, you want to show just the honorable mention real quick? I feel like
Yeah, sure.
Manu might be happy with, like,
Well, before you do, I want you to talk about Halo 2. Why that one specifically? Because we know why Taz picked Halo 1, but why 2 over 3?
look.
Clearly, Manny loves Halo 3
I do
because he
love
asked
Halo
me the
No,
3.
no,
same
no, no.
question.
Look, to me, Halo 2, I just look, Zanzibar. The map is a classic. Like, I love the Zanzibar map. The dual wielding, the vehicle boarding, the refined movement. Uh, like, it was bolder. The narrative, I felt, was a lot better as well. Like, and it wasn't just about shooting aliens, because they added like a lot of political themes to it. um but yeah, like, I just thought that the gameplay, was also just a lot better. So
I
look, Halo Combat Evolved laid the groundwork. Halo 3 to me delivered a satisfying conclusion, but Halo 2 for me stands out for its ambition, its multiplayer, and its tighter pacing. I felt like Halo 2 had more unforgettable moments than the other two games. But that's just me. Any
Yeah, that's fine.
Manu, you
no, I was
seem
just gonna say, like,
confused.
I remember, like, I think Halo 2 didn't make it to my honorable mentions just because, like, it is the game I think we played the first kind of first person shooter we all played together, like a lot of. So
I thought it was 3, but okay.
I could have
No,
sworn
no,
it
I
was
Dude,
two.
I
so
remember it was two. Well, I remember
we
at 7 a.m. you guys used to come over before going to before we all went to high school, and I remember the twins and I would play Halo 2
Mhm.
at 7 in the morning, and you guys would go and play online and obviously improve my kill death
So it was
ratio.
actually Halo 3 I would play online under your account.
Okay, 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 got it, yeah,
Halo 1, Manu and I used to have the demo disc that Taz gave us, and that's all we ever played.
Mhm.
And then one of you guys gifted us Halo 2,
yeah,
and we did play quite a bit of that as well.
yeah, yeah.
I never even finished Halo 2. I
Oh
did
my
not
god,
like the campaign. Going
It was a
back to
lot
it,
darker and grittier,
I
and
don't know.
it
I
yeah,
wasn't a
wasn't
fan
as
of this whole thing
enjoyable.
with the Arbiter and all that stuff. And
I I have to say that your honorable mention was just confuses me.
Yeah, like who the fuck are you? Like
Yeah, like
Kirby Superstar?
Paper
dude,
Mario, Jet Set
yeah,
Radio.
dude.
Red Dead
Sonic the Hedgehog?
Redemption.
But what do you? What? Why
Oh
is
my
that?
god, I completely forgot God of War's a game.
Oh
Fuck.
yeah, fuck.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, there are so many good series, but dude, like, these series, I've spent like countless hours on them. Paper Mario, I replayed it on the Switch, and I love. I still think that the first Paper Mario, like, yeah, Paper Mario on 64, is an amazing game. Donkey Kong Country, I still remember the soundtrack. I remember making this list, and I was listening to the fucking, I was listening to the fucking Donkey Kong soundtrack. Kirby Superstars, again, it's I to hands down, I still remember playing Kirby Superstars, on the emulator on Taz's computer in his old home. Like, it's like I still have those vivid memories. God of War, I never thought that they would be able to revolutionize a God of War game that sold so much, that was so beloved, and then turn it into one of the best action adventure games. Jet Set Radio Future, same thing. Like, I mean, I thought that game was insane. Like, I remember when that game first came out and we were all playing it. I was like, I've never seen a game this beautiful. Like, the music
Mhm.
was insane as well. It was so over the
It's
top.
very unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Majora's
The
Mask
cell
has to
shading
be
was
there.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
and I know it's weird that I'm putting two Zelda games in my top 9 and honorable mention, but again, I do have to say that again, Majora's Mask sometimes I feel like does not get enough love because the Ocarina of Time lovers really like to put it down and say that it's the better game. But I think that it definitely needs that love. And Sonic the Hedgehog, I still have, again, like, playing, in my old home on in Ville Saint Laurent, playing on the Genesis, and my uncle bought me that game, and I was obsessed with catching, like collecting all the rings. So yeah, I mean, like, there's
Forgot you had
Assassin.
this.
I'm
Did you have
sad.
any other games on the Genesis? Because that's the only game I ever remember you
I don't
talking about.
remember. I don't have any other memories, so that's why I feel like
I
Sonic the
remember you
Hedgehog
having a
is good.
Genesis. I
Yeah.
remember playing Sonic on your Genesis, and I remember nothing else about that
But
Genesis.
that's the thing. I feel like I only had one game, and again, Assassin's Creed didn't make it. I would love to add it. I would love to add it right now. Assassin's Creed 2. I agree with Taz. It was just so much better in every way, and I still think that Ezio is, the best assassin out there. But yeah, like I feel like I kind of wanted to have like a list that was kind of a bit different. But yeah, all of these games are games that I really appreciated, and I've put a lot of hours on there.
Okay. Definitely so far out of everyone's list, Jazz is definitely the most surprising.
Yeah.
The top nine or the
Both.
In all of
really?
them.
Yeah.
But what game? What other game did you guys think that I would add to my top nine?
I don't know.
Taz, honestly, like in my honorable mentions, I was about to put NFL Blitz, just because of how much we
Oh my
played
God,
that
yeah.
game.
Jazz, I'm surprised you even had 18 games to list.
Wow.
Oh my god!
NFL Blitz honestly perfectly encapsulates my financial failures as a human being.
What?
I rented that game so much that
So many times.
probably could have bought like 3 copies of that game.
I remember. I have a vivid memory of you being like, "I have to return it," and I'm like, "Wait, did you like own it or something?"
I could have sworn you had the game because we would always play whenever we'd come over.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I mean, if you guys can think of like other games that you like, because yeah, like I feel like at least my top nine.
My inability to afford a Switch 2 started with NFL Blitz on the N64.
But yeah, that's my that's
Okay.
my list.
All right. Well, who's next?
So next up is Manu.
Persona.
And so
Any Souls game? Kirby?
Yeah, pretty much. I think
I have to
For-
say it is very. I think it's different, and it's very different in one aspect.
Hollow Knight?
so you look at the list, you're like, this makes sense.
Death Stranding.
But on the other hand, it's like you won't also maybe necessarily think about.
interesting.
Okay. So if you guys don't have any guesses, I can just put it
I mean,
up.
there's bound to be a Souls like in there.
Yeah, that's
Maybe Sekiro. I think Expedition 33 might be there. I feel like that kind of left its mark
Oof.
on him.
too recent. It's the recency bias, though.
I mean, the game is good, man. I think a Kirby. He's too big of a Kirby fan to not have something on there, and I feel like
100%.
it's that last one that came out on Switch. I forget what it's called, The Forgotten World. I feel like that might be on there. Let's see. I don't think he's a big Mario person. I don't know that Mario Kart would be on it.
I feel like he would put Majora's Mask on there. I feel like Majora's Mask is definitely.
He's gonna put a Zelda game. If he was gonna put a Zelda game, it would probably be Breath of the Wild.
No, I can definitely say he loves Majora's Mask more than he does Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
There's actually. Can I?
I can just share it.
You can share it. Yeah. There's actually a game I like. My favorite Zelda game has to be Twilight Princess.
Really?
Cuphead!
Yes.
Oh
So,
man! Oh, Hollow
I'm
Knight! I got it.
surprised. Before you begin, I'm genuinely surprised. There's no Kirby game on here.
Yeah.
There is no Zelda game on here.
Yes. They made it to my honorable mentions. There's no Persona game as well. I don't know if you guys will notice, but all these games are newer. They're like within the past, I think, last decade, I want to say, compared to your guys. You guys have like very like old school games.
The oldest game on this list, I think, is like maybe it's either Cuphead or Hollow Knight. Or maybe even Monster Hunter,
I think it's Hollow Knight. But yeah, so as you guys all know, I like a challenging game. I like to put down a game and to think, wow, okay, I did something. And Taz, it's all because of you, because you gave me Ninja Gaiden that one time, and I had nothing else to play, and I finished the shit out of this game, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This was like a real challenge. So ever since then.
And it didn't make your list.
Yeah. It didn't make my list. It made my honorary. It made my honorary list. But I don't know. Just I had over like 35 games, and I had to cut it down. I had too many.
What the fuck?
Um, Cuphead was there because I'm a big fan of like old school kind of art style, like the old Disney movies. I'm a big fan of the hand art, the hand drawn. So like Cuphead definitely made it there, and the boss rush was exactly what I wanted in the game, just challenging boss one after another. I beat this game 3 times by myself. I beat it once with Samantha, and I beat it once with my friend Felix. Um, Expedition 33. This game came out 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and I still think about it to this day. Um, this game is just phenomenal, from the story to the music to the theming, from
Called it.
the the tight parry system. This game was perfectly crafted for me. If there's one game that I think perfectly describes what I like, it's Expedition 33, because it has a difficulty. It's just everything about this game is perfect. I bought Elder Ring. Of course, I had to put a From Souls for Souls game. Elder Ring. So I thoroughly enjoyed Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. But the reason I put Elder Ring is because it's the first game where I fully went in on all the story. I read every item that the game gave me because I just sucked it all up. The world building was it was done so phenomenally. Um, and when they came out with the DLC, I actually did a brand new playthrough. I invested another 100 hours in this game because I wanted to know what the DLC had to offer and how much more it expanded on the universe. And it did. It was so gratifying finishing this game a second time. And to be honest, sometimes I think, do I want to do a third playthrough? And I might, maybe this year, maybe next year. That's how good of a game Elden Ring is.
Before I continue, is Maple Story in your honorary
It
mentions?
is, yes.
Because it was like you have one MMO, but what about what kind of started the MMO phase for us, which was Maple Story?
Maple
Wait, what about
Story.
World of Warcraft?
Um, well, so I only want to put one MMORPG. World
Okay,
of Warcraft did make it. When I play an MMO, I really like to experience the story. That's why I play it. The reason I did put Maple Story there is because Maple Story had really fun mechanics, and we grew up with it. Deeply, like it's our childhood, but I never got into the story. World of Warcraft, I did. You know, I bought a few of the chronicles. I bought the books. I started reading them. It's phenomenal. But the
also because it
storytelling.
has, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Taz, for once again feeding our gaming addictions when we were younger. But Final Fantasy 14 has legitimately some of the best narrative storytelling I've ever experienced. I would never recommend this game to anyone just because it takes 400 hours for you to experience the whole story. But by the end of it, it's the whole journey is like an emotional roller coaster. Every expansion has something. Even the worst one, Stormblood, has some of the best storytelling I've ever experienced. So yeah, Final Fantasy. I don't know if you did, like people you messaged me earlier. I'm still playing it.
Yeah, because like we like just like 3 days ago we are talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to get into like an MMO." I downloaded Guild Wars 2. I log into Discord today, and I see him playing Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Hollow Knight is a fan. I'm typically
Yeah,
in the
all good.
yeah, you guys. I don't like Metroidvanias. I despise 2D platformers because I suck at them. But Hollow Knight, it was one like the second exception. The first one was Nine Souls. Sorry, the first one was Hollow
I
Knight.
mean, look at the 4 posters behind you.
That's true. Yeah. um, Hollow Knight is just a phenomenal game. Just the perfectly crafted world, the dark eerie tone of the whole game, the really fun bosses, everything about this game just it's just a perfectly crafted game. And sometimes I do think about doing a second playthrough just because I never beat the true final boss because I found out too late and I never did the DLC. So I might go and actually do a second playthrough of that game. Um, Monster Hunter World is also I with the first time I played Monster Hunter World was like a truly challenging game for me because I played with my two friends and we got our ass handed to us every single fight. We had to like hunt, we had to grind for that gear, get better gear, get better weapons, and it was just a real fun experience. And I think I spent like 400 hours in this, and that's what got me into Monster Hunter Rise and now Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm a sucker for the series now. It doesn't have
As
the
someone
same.
like as someone who wasn't into worlds as much as you were, it was fun hearing you yell with your friends at like because some of the DLC. bosses had like what do you call that? You have to do a certain amount of damage or else the entire team wipes. Like
It's a DPS check.
yeah, DPS check. And you guys couldn't get that.
Yeah, especially upon the last few. I think the last two bosses, you essentially have a DPS check, and if you can't beat it, it just kills you. So, and I still haven't beaten the last boss in Monster Hunter World. I forgot what it's called, but sometimes my friend joke and I about like we still joke about going back and doing it, but we just can't because he's too hard. But someday we might.
Why this and not Wilds?
Um, just because of how much of an impact this left to me. So all these games left a big impact, and they're just games I still think about. Like Roll, I still think about as opposed to Rise or Wild that I kind of forgot about them. World, I think just because it was the first time I played with my friends, like it was a good co-op game. Just like how Halo is in my honorary mention because of how much time I spent with you guys playing it, or like no, I didn't put in their mercy because I didn't think about it, but I would definitely put it in my honorable mentions because of how much time we spent together playing. Do I need to talk about Satisfactory, or do you guys understand why I put it?
I think I need you to talk
Yeah.
about it a little bit because at one point I think I remember asking you if you're still playing this, and you were just sort of wanting to get it over with, and I think it's because you wanted the achievements. But
Yeah, Satisfactory was that, in a weird way, the perfect resource management copium hit I needed. Seeing all my factory run at 100% of efficiency was just, it was so satisfying. It was like the child I wanted to show everyone. I was so proud of it. Like, look, guys, look at all these conveyor belts that are bringing so many materials in and processing everything. It was a perfect 120 hours of gameplay that I regret, but also not regret doing because I restarted my factory several times, and I think I'm
But
scared
also,
now.
the reason why you got into it is kind of
Yes.
funny in it by itself. Because if you want to share that story,
Yeah. So my friend Felix started playing Satisfactory, and he showed it to me, and his factory was just the embodiment of the word chaos. It was all over the place. You had conveyor belts going everywhere. Nothing was optimized, and it hurt me deeply in my soul. And I told him, I was like, there are better ways to do it. And he said there isn't. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna prove you wrong out of spite, and I did.
then you
And
spent 130 hours into a game
yes,
to prove you.
I think
Worth it.
so this game does have co-op, and I think if you guys can, you guys should play it. I think um, it's not a difficult game by any means, and you don't need to optimize it. But I think the co-op you can get out of it, the satisfaction, hence the name. I think it's worth trying out.
Okay.
Um, Sekiro, just a perfectly crafted Souls game.
Everyone
Just
called it.
yeah, it's fair. The reason I had to put this one is heavily deviated from the other Souls games. You don't have any extravagant weapons. All you have is a katana. Maybe you have some additional utilities you can replace your arm with, your prosthetic arm. But that's all you have. You have a katana. You can dodge and you can parry. And then the game throws you the wildest fucking bosses you can imagine. And if you don't learn their patterns, you will get destroyed every single fight. And to me, playing Sekiro was like playing Ninja Gaiden for the first time. That's what it felt like to me, because it was you either get good at the game or you stop playing.
I
Games like Dark
remember.
Souls, yeah,
I remember watching you play the game, and you're trying to convince me to play it. And you're against the monkey fight, and I see you
yes,
die over and over and over, and you're at this fight for like hours. And when you finally get it, the corpse reanimates itself headless, and now you got to fight this monstrosity. And I'm just like, fuck no, I'm not playing this.
But so that fight is actually not that difficult because once he reanimates, there's a really easy way to cheese that fight if you know everything at your disposal well. Like if you know all your tools well, the fight becomes like super easy. But that's part of the beauty of the game. You
You can
have to
say
know the
that about
mechanics.
any game. Yeah, any fight's easy once you know every mechanic to it.
I don't know. The game is just. I still to this day think about all these games that I put are all games I still think about that I still want to go back and play. Even Satisfactory, having spent like 130 hours and like 100% of the game, I just want to go back. Sekiro as well. I want to go back and beat the Best of Hatred, which is like the super boss in the game that I've never attempted.
Sea of Stars is probably the most surprising addition to your list?
Why? It's a beautiful crafted game. It has an amazing
No, for sure
narrative.
it is. I
The
finished it
soundtrack is
over
amazing.
Majora's Mask.
over
Yes.
Ninja Gaiden,
Yes.
Yeah.
over the Pokemon game. Well, you didn't.
No, I wouldn't put Pokemon anywhere near my top
Wow,
9.
not even the OG ones.
Well, okay, the only one I would do is Pokemon Yellow.
Yeah.
But Sea of Stars is just, yeah, I it's just a really good RPG game.
Over
it's just-
Persona 5.
yes,
Wow.
yes,
Okay.
because so I actually it's funny you say that because I was debating between Sea of Stars and Persona 5, but I ended up putting Sea of Stars just because of how different it was.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my list.
Any honorable mentions that you want to mention?
Yeah, Twilight Princess, Kingdom Hearts 3. I have to include a Kingdom Hearts game.
Surprised you didn't have Stardew Valley or something in there too.
I enjoy Stardew Valley, but not enough that I would put it. Like if I had to rank Stardew Valley, it'd be like a B plus, I think.
Ah, man, Sam's frothing in the
Yeah,
other
she
room
was
right
she was
now.
actually she heard me earlier and she's like, I'm gonna kill you. So I was like, okay. And then Nier Automata, I think, is my other
Yeah,
honorable
no.
mention because what a beautifully game as well. But Yoko Taro is just a genius.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my list.
All right, guys.
Really
How many
nice
Zelda
list.
games can you name right now?
Yeah. Well,
So
All right, what do
how
you,
many
what do you guys
Zelda
think
games?
I have on my,
You said
my
3
list?
Zelda games, right? Yeah.
you said
yes,
three.
3 on my
All right.
not on the list, not on the honorary mentions.
Okay, so hold on. Breath of the Wild,
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time.
I
Link to
want
the
to
Past.
say. No, I don't think it's
Link-
Link to the Past. I want to say it's Twilight Princess.
Majora's Mask. No,
No.
sorry. Wind Waker.
No, he's never finished it.
Link
Oh, you
Between
never
Worlds.
I don't think he's finished that one either. I'm not 100%
I
sure.
finished it and
Okay,
I
okay.
three-hearted it.
Minish
Three-hearted
Cap.
it.
Minish Cap.
Oh, you're right. Actually, it might be
Is
between.
it Oracle of Seasons or Ages?
No.
I have finished those games twice.
Hyrule Warriors. No, I was kidding.
Ugh.
Minish. I think it has to be Minish Cap.
The Necro
Okay.
Dancer. No, wait, hold
Again,
on.
besides any Zelda games,
Spirit
what do you
Tracks.
guys?
No.
Spirit Tracks wasn't by far not the best. Phantom Hourglass so much better than Spirit Tracks in my opinion.
Yeah.
What else was on your list? I think you definitely put Hollow Knight.
I think
I think
Maple
that's the game we
Story.
share.
Maple Story, Manny.
Hollow
Has to be in
Knight
there.
is not even in my honorary mentions, but I wanted to. But I know you were gonna put it, so I'm
Maybe
like, it's okay.
maybe
So-
Mario Kart 8. 'Cause I feel like he's put a lot.
Yeah, Mario Kart
Yeah.
for sure. Mario Kart for sure.
Okay. I mean, these are all good guesses, but I think some of my entries might surprise you guys. So
Oh,
I'll
the
go
time you
ahead
put the pinball game. Okay.
BMX
Pinball game.
XXX.
The Japanese sexy pinball game.
Oh yeah, no.
Stardew
Dead or
Valley.
Alive beach volleyball? Is that the
Okay, so Minish Cap, yeah. So just Jasper
Minish Cap,
stuff.
yeah.
Twilight
Expedition
Yeah, what did
33,
I
I am
say?
surprised.
Hell
to see
yeah.
it there.
I had to just like my brother. It's
Bastion.
it has such a chokehold on me for like this year. Like I still think about it. I still listen to the soundtrack. I still go on the subreddit and hear people read people like discuss about the game. It's such a good fucking game. And it is by far, it's been a while since I've enjoyed a game as Expedition 33. And I think
Manny.
we talked about it plenty over the last few weeks.
Did you put Destiny because you felt forced to do it because you have a tattoo?
No, listen. I mean, I have a
Every
Mario
day
Kart
he looks at
tattoo.
it, he's just like,
Oh, damn it.
I have a Mario Kart tattoo. It's not on there. I have a Kingdom Hearts tattoo. It's not on there.
Man, your list surprises me a lot.
Yeah.
I'm really
It
happy
varies.
you put Mario Galaxy because I personally think it's better
Yeah.
than I think it's the best 3D platformer Mario game.
Yeah. Well, so we'll get there. Okay, so let me just quickly go over the Zelda game just to just to get it over with. Twilight Princess. It is the first Zelda game my brother and I have ever bought. I remember we saved up $5 bills after helping for like a year at my dad's shop, and then we went to Walmart and like paid it all. We got home and we just enjoyed and played the fuck out of that game. And I remember at one point I was at the final boss, and my brother walks downstairs like, "This is what you're doing," and he like runs back because he didn't want to get spoiled. And it's like the first time you see like after, especially coming after like Ocarina of Time, for instance, and you see like a really truly dark Zelda game, and it has one of the best companions out of all the series, Midna. And even like the wolf feature, like every Zelda game has a bit of a gimmick. This one, it did really well,
The
and it's that
music.
game that I've been just dying for them to make a remake on the Switch, because if they did, an instant day one for me. um Ocarina of Time, you guys mentioned how um, Super Mario 64 had kind of revolutionized um, platformers on the N64. Zelda also had introduced things that kind of like changed the landscape for video games in a sense. They are the first person to ever do a targeting system, and they've ever since then you've seen video games kind of built upon that. That is the basis. One of the best Zelda stories from beginning to end. I do remember this is the game that got me into Legend of Zelda, and once again, thanks to Taz, he used to have the game. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing as a kid, but I just remember I wanted to play this game more and more. And even just like I would do the sequence of just walking up to the Master Sword, picking it up, putting it back, and just do that over and over, and just like such an epic story for a kid to experience. And I think it's what's it still I'm stuttering. It's held for so long, and I think it's aged really well as well. And Minish Cap, it's not a lot of people know it. I think for a game that came out on the Game Boy Advance, I think that people are they're missing out on such a beautiful game. Like you look at this game, you're like, I'm surprised this is on the Game Boy Advance, and it kind of like took the cute, like artistic style of Wind Waker, and they were able to create it on the Game Boy Advance. And it's such a compact, small Zelda game, but it has some of the most memorable dungeons, some of the most interesting fights. And so the gimmick in this game is that Link can basically become a minish. He becomes incredibly small, and so you're seeing this world from a whole new different angle. You're fighting bosses which you wouldn't usually expect. So like one of the most basic enemy in The Legend of Zelda is a slime, but you're fighting it as dude, what the fuck? You're fighting this slime as a tiny Link, and that makes the fight so different. As dying over there. For the audio listeners, and I guess he sent this weird fucking gif of Link just dancing. I don't know how to explain it.
Link is a
He's
bad
just shredding his stuff. He's a bad bitch.
I had to switch out of that chat. I can't look at it without laughing.
Yeah, I mean, till this day, like Minish Cap, I'll go back and play it. It's like a quick, easy, like 10-hour game, and it's just enjoyable from start to finish. Right. God, what game do I talk about first?
Destiny.
I just want to piggyback onto like Twilight Princess had, I think, one of the best soundtracks. Not the best, but like definitely one of the best Zelda soundtracks out there.
Midna's Lament till this day, I think it's one of my favorite Zelda songs. I think I'll mention Bastion because I think that might have caught everyone by surprise.
I'm not surprised. You talk about that game so much and how much you love the soundtrack for that game.
I did, but I think what I loved the most was not just the art style, but the voice acting that was done. I don't remember who the narrator is, but I think his voice is on par to like Morgan Freeman's voice. So that was my introduction to Supergiant games, and I've loved their games ever since. It kind of, if you look at Hades and then you play Bastion, you can see where they got a lot of that combat from. It is heavily inspired by Bastion. And just the world, just the fighting, just the challenges where you can get more abilities and weapon variations. I think you just find any excuse to keep playing this game, and that's one of the first games I had 100%ed just because I enjoyed it so much. Destiny. Okay, guys, look, I'm gonna be honest.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, look, Destiny by far isn't the best game out there. But did I have some of the best gaming experience because of it? Did I meet one of my best friends because of it? Did I really get into streaming and video editing because of it? 100%. And that's why it has to be on my list. And it's had some bangers. It's had some really bad, shitty DLCs, not gonna lie, but it had some real good bangers. And throughout the entire game, I've really loved the story to the point where I'm buying the novels. Sorry, not the novels, but the kind of history books, and to learn more about the lore. And it's a game I keep coming back to. It's like a very addictive drug to me. It's like I can't fully just let it go. And like Jazz, when you got into it, I remember during COVID when like everyone was, well,
Yeah.
not everyone, like people around my circle started playing, and that's what we would do after work. It's we all hop into Destiny. We would do the raids and just do the weekly challenges, and it's some of the best time of my life, and what was one of the darkest periods of my life. And so that's why Destiny will always hold a dear near place in my heart.
You know, it's also called Stockholm Syndrome. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Okay, so you guys mentioned Super Mario 64 being one of the best Mario games. You're wrong. Super Mario Galaxy takes that by a mile. I've 100%ed this game twice, and I will do it a third time. By far, the most innovative and creative levels, as well as one of the best Mario game soundtrack. And I think Manu can also attest to that.
I 100% agree.
Gusty Gardens, probably one of the best Mario songs out there. Have you guys played? You guys played Mario Galaxy, right?
I've never finished it, but I played a little bit of it, and I'm just waiting for them to release it on the Switch.
It is on the
They
Switch.
did release it.
Yeah, the
Always,
Super Mario.
I've always heard so much about how good it was, but I never got around to playing it. They didn't release it on Switch. I don't think so.
They did.
No, they did.
It
It was
was
like it
the
was a combo
three-game,
pack.
the anniversary
Yeah.
pack with the 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy.
Oh, but it
Galaxy was
wasn't
the
like
only
a
one that
it wasn't like a
Galaxy was the
yeah,
only one
true.
that got the HD treatment to it.
Oh, all right.
And so, Taz, if you want, I will lend you my Switch, and you can play Mario's
Oh no,
Galaxy.
Taz is gonna pick up a Switch 2 soon, so you can just.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Hey man, if you guys all pitch in, it's you know, all of your fancy schmancy government salaries and shit.
Yeah. Okay. Baldur's Gate, I have to say,
Are you
is
surprised?
the yeah, 100%.
I mean, I'm doing like I think okay, I love the game from beginning to end. And just like Expedition 33, I was thinking about it a lot. I was reading up a lot. I was watching a lot of videos about it as well, kind of wanting to learn the different paths that I missed out on. And then I think also talking to my girlfriend about her experience with that game kind of like made me fall in love with the game all over again to the point where I'm doing another playthrough. And the fact that like every playthrough feels like such a different experience, and the fact that there's so many different ways you can approach every scenario, the fact that like even just creating your character, um it feels like you're just restarting another D&D campaign. And I mean, it's won so many awards, and rightfully so. Like, it's such a fantastic game from beginning to end.
I will give it this. Like, out of every game I've ever played, where they always sort of touted like, "Oh, there's unprecedented freedom in how you want to go about and do things."
Mhm.
I feel like this was the first time where I was like, "Okay, yeah, they're right."
Yeah.
Whereas it's not just like a marketing thing. Like, there's actually that freedom is there, and you feel it when you play this game.
Yeah, because like other games, when they say they give you the freedom to go about it however you want, it's kind of the illusion of freedom, because it's usually the same exact challenger, the same exact fight, but you just approach them in different order. Whereas this gives you the freedom to approach scenarios, quest, dialogue in more ways than one, where it completely changes the outcome of the game. So in that sense, yes, this stands on its own compared to those games.
And what are your honorable mentions?
I just quickly want to mention Stardew Valley.
Stardew.
Ah,
Let's
yeah, I
go.
forgot about that.
Yeah, fucking love that game. I played it on mobile. I played it on the Switch. I played it on PC, and chances are I'm gonna play it on the Switch too. And with the amount of mods that they have out there, especially Stardew Valley Expanded, like adds new characters, adds new story, adds new dungeons, adds new like crops, enemies, and all that stuff. It's uh, fuck, I love this game. And the fact that Manu and I, with our significant others, went to the Stardew Valley concert
That's true. Yeah.
should give you guys an inclination of how good this game is, like how much we love it. Honorable mentions. I did make a list, but then as we were talking, I forgot to add other games. But I won't talk about those. I'll just talk about the games that's already on there. We already talked about KOTOR. Jazz did a good job talking about Breath of the Wild, so that doesn't need to be said. Kingdom Hearts 2 was the game I preferred over Kingdom Hearts 3. I think 3 had too much fan service, but the gameplay was smooth as hell, don't get me wrong. Even though we were all lost with the story originally when we played 2, I think it still has one of the best gameplay, some of the most epic moments as well, especially the final fight against the Xemnas, against Riku and Sora.
Mm-hmm.
Maple
Xehanort.
Xehanort, sorry. Not Xehanort.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is Xehanort, yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Maple Story, I have to give it to it because I kind of miss that old school MMORPG where it's like, it's less of the grind of getting to max level and then just hitting the end game content of dungeons, bosses, and rinse and repeating. What Maple Story does really well is the actual journey along the way. It is the grind. And I think I miss those days of MMOs. And we don't necessarily see that, and I'm kind of excited about the fact that they're bringing back MapleStory Classic. So probably end up wasting a lot of time on that.
Our couple syndrome is going to come back.
Oh yeah.
You know,
You guys surprised? Is there gone?
Tales of the World, Radiant Mythology. I remember us talking about that game so much because we both played it on the PSP.
Yeah.
Right, and that game actually, hands down, was probably the most fun I've had on the PSP. I remember playing the game multiple times. So I'm glad to see that on the list. And same thing with Child of Light. I even to this day I think that Child of Light has just this incredible soundtrack that's unmatched. It's
The
so
only thing
good.
I want to mention about Tales of the World, because the podcast is getting lengthy, so I'm just gonna. The only thing I want to mention about Tales of the World, my brother, I didn't have a PSP. My brother had a PSP. This fucker, whenever we would have a disagreement, whenever we would have an argument, he would delete my save.
Oh my god!
Till this day, I've restarted this game more times than any Zelda game.
Hey, I will do it again.
Than any other game.
I don't think I've ever respected him more.
You were right, by the way. It is Xemnas, not Xehanort.
I know my Kingdom Hearts. Child of Light, Jazz, I bought the...
I don't think Square knows their Kingdom Hearts.
Child of Light, one of the best, the best soundtrack. The entire game is like a watercolor story come to life.
You have the vinyl, no?
I do, and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
such an... Cœur de Pirate is the artist, and it's such an amazing soundtrack, such an amazing game. I recommend it. It's a short RPG as well, nothing complicated, but it's a fun story.
Fantastic game.
Yeah, Moonlighter, I think the last episode, Taz, you did a really good job of hyping the game up because when we were comparing with Moonlighter 2. The only final game I want to mention, Mario Kart, I'll skip, Dragon Age Origins. It's OG Bioware at its finest. It's like pre-Baldur's Gate. And
my
God.
This
my,
makes me
my
sad,
biggest,
man.
so my biggest memory with this game, I remember playing it back on Xbox when it originally came out. And even back then, I remember booting this game up and I was like, holy shit, this game is fucking ugly. But it stopped me from wanting to play it. I was like, this game looks so bad. I don't want to play this.
God.
But then I played it again a few years ago and I was like, okay, yeah, this is actually a very, very good game.
I
It's
thought it was
crazy.
like, for its time, I thought it was like revolutionary for the amount of things you could do, the different paths you can take.
In all
different
ways, except
origins you can
visual. Yeah, fantastic game.
have. I never got far. Sorry to interrupt, Jazz. I never got far in the OG game when we had it on the Xbox, and only ended up replaying and finishing it when I got the Xbox, and I just played through all the Dragon Age games.
I was gonna say it's crazy to see, and it makes me sad when Manny said that this is Bioware at its best, because I'm like, I hate that we're at that point where we have to say OG Bioware and all of that. Look, Dragon Age is on there, KOTOR is on there, Mass Effect is on there. You know, they made Jade Empire, which obviously Jade Empire wasn't as good as the other games, but it was still a fun game. It just sucks that it's like we're like celebrating like the death of like Bioware rather than like all the new things to come. But I know that we are running pretty long, but Taz did mention a pretty good idea of maybe like inaugurating like a not quite high score Hall of Fame. Do you guys want to like maybe think about it and like maybe we discuss that like next episode, or do you think that
Yeah, we
there's
could
a
probably do
game that we all agree should be in the not quite high score Hall of Fame?
I think we can think about it if we wanted to. I just think it has to come out of our nines.
I don't think it will. It's a thing. Our
Yeah,
tastes
but
are
we don't
there's not a single
share.
game.
yeah.
Yeah, we
No,
mentioned certain
but I
games,
think
but there's
even, it doesn't have to be one that we all necessarily have to have played or completed, you know. I'm not crazy about Breath of the Wild, but I respect it, right? So,
yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think No Mercy, even though my brother and I never really had the game, I think No Mercy we can say it's like we all had such a wild enjoyment for it. And you guys had so much love and passion for it when you guys were talking about it.
oh man, we used to legit play like 60-minute matches in that game.
They
Yeah.
should release it on Steam so we just play again.
Yeah, that'll
I
happen.
I remember like the ladders and the chairs and the blood too. I completely forgot that like when the guy was like bloodied. Yeah,
I
it's
remember we
definitely
used to just create like the ugliest possible characters that we could create, and then we
fat
would give
and
and we would give them the taunts and the entrances of the divas at the time.
of the women. Yeah,
Yeah. I also remember getting farted on. Yeah.
but it's okay. You had a
I
cold, so you can you can.
That's true. Yeah.
And you're
I
welcome, because
do.
that just furthered you in your gaming journey. I don't know who to fucking tell you.
I'm surprised none
Uh,
of us mentioned Rock Band or Guitar Hero in
you
I
know
was
this
gonna
what?
game.
ask Jack to get into
Yeah.
this.
It was on my list. It was on my list, but then, like I told you guys, like I had other games that were Assassin's Creed was there, Rock Band was definitely on there as well because I still remember, you guys coming over and then, one person had to sing, but and then we had a bass guitar and everything. So yeah, I mean, we definitely had a lot of fun with it, but
Yeah,
just
good
didn't
good
make the
times.
cut. But yeah, I think we should do like a similar exercise, but for the worst games that we played.
Oh god.
Oh my god, Taz is definitely
Cast
putting
Superman
Andromeda and Superman
64, Superman
64.
64, Superman 64, and all of them.
It's just
But
gonna be
Andromeda would
nine.
definitely be
It's
there.
gonna be nine Andromedas, honestly. And then honorable mention Andromeda.
uh, but yeah,
All
no,
right.
it was a good episode. All right, Manny, take it away.
On that note, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not Quite High Score. As per usual, you guys can find us on all the streaming platforms as well as notquitehighscore.com, which will lead you to our YouTube page. If you guys want to send us an email at notquitehighscore@gmail.com, you guys can also talk with Taz at on Blue Sky. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Chat with chat.
Chat with chat.
Damn it.
This was a very like difficult exercise.